All right, we're up to the 18th guide video, Lucas, and this is the 17th story car because we did that one guide video that was just the quick tips on making some money video. So we're up to the 17th story order car. It's a 2003 Ripson Z530, which is also a Nissan, but you know, again, Playway didn't get permission to use Nissan for this car, I guess, even though there's Nissans that are in the game, which is interesting. All right, let's read this. Hey, my name is Jessica, but you can call me Jess. My friend mentioned that you've taken great care of her green Wormy. I figured that perhaps my car needed some more attention too. On a day-by-day basis, I don't have time to deal with the mechanics. I think that's clear. For a businesswoman, every minute is at a premium. And wasting time on crawling around in oil and grease, well, that's just not for me. Please do a detailed checkup. This car isn't old, but I'll be honest with you, besides refueling and weekly washing, I haven't really bothered by anything else. I've had it for a couple of years, and I'm getting the impression that it used to be a Spryer? Please do what you can to restore its past performance. Great, thanks. Change and drain the oil. Again, this is in every story car, and there'll be other tasks for us to do as well. So let's take that order. All right. For weekly washing the car, it doesn't seem very clean, so that's the first step we're going to do is take Jess's Nissan over here and give it a quick, you know, how's your father hand wash here. And we'll detail the inside for her. Get it all trimmed up. Hey, that looks shinier now. All right. Let's just pop the hood and see what we're dealing with. All right. So we got some rusty pulleys. This is just my eyes looking at the parts. Look at that suspension. That doesn't look great. That sway bar doesn't look good. Oil filter doesn't look good. Trans looks good. Rear suspension does not look bad. All right, so that's just my first purview of it. All right, let's do the order. 4 pages of undiscovered parts. Change the oil. Change power steering fluid. Perform a wheel alignment and refill the washer fluid. So these fluid jobs, I like just taking care of that right off the bat. So let's refill the washer fluid. That's easy enough. And change the power steering fluid. So change means you have to drain it first. So we'll go to our drain tool. Drain the steering fluid. All right, she's drained. Part unmount. Unmount the cap. All right, fill. All right, she's filled. And let's move it to the test path. See if we're able to use our test path to actually diagnose and test the car, which is really what it's supposed to be able to be there for, in addition to alignments and what have you. The engine can't be started. Well, I don't know how Jess got the car here, because apparently it doesn't run. All right, let's go to additional tools. Do the onboard diagnostic scan first while that's running. Pepsi Max. 100%. So we need some spark plugs, ignition coil. Actually, all the ignition coils don't look good. So we need to deal with the ignition system. Catalytic converters are fine. The ABS module and the ECU U type A is okay. Okay. Can we do a compression test? We can. Looks like it's in the green. About 9 bars, right? Ish. Camshaft bad. Camshaft bad. Rocker arms. A couple of rocker arms are bad. Okay. Pistons and rings test out okay. The engine block is good and the crank is okay. All right, well that's good. So maybe we just need to take the top end of the engine off. We might not need to pull this engine. Let's do the electro digitals with the electronic multimeter. Sometimes I like reading those numbers as they pop up on the digital meter. Those numbers are the numbers that are going to end up being the percentages of the parts that it's testing. And those all test fine. Tread test. Let's see, 91%, 90%, 90, 87, 95. So the tires are fine. Okay. And fuel pressure test. We'll check on the fuel system. Does that appear to be in the green? I don't know if that's bad. Well, it ain't good. So we got a bad fuel filter and a bad fuel rail. Two bad fuel rails, really. The fuel pump is fine. Okay, so we got fuel system work, ignition work, and a couple of parts that are yet to discover. So let's deal the engine stuff first, because just from the eyeball test, it looks like we're going to have suspension work in the front to deal with as well. But maybe we'll be able to test on the test path this car once we get the engine addressed. So I'm going to start by draining the oil. We'll get her up in the air. I'll deal with the oil and oil filter. Grab this. Move that over to the lifter. Use the equipment. There we go. That's good. Up under here, and we'll pull the filter. And since we have the oil drained, let's just pull the oil pan. And there's a reason I'm doing this. I just want to look. We know the crank was fine and the pistons were fine, right? Where's the other bolts? There they are. However, are the cam bearings okay? Those we can't test. So a lot of times when there's parts undiscovered, I'll just like kind of get up in here and look at those parts. So there's a bearing. That one's fine. They're all fine. So that's good. So let's go ahead and put ARMA mode. Part mount. Let's put that oil pan back on. And the filter's right there. It's a V8 oil filter. Alright, oil filter's replaced. And I guess we could go to examine mode too. I mean, that's another way to kind of diagnose some parts, right? There's a bad crankcase pulley there. And we know we have to pull the camshafts, and the rocker arms are bad. The ignition parts are bad. Tie rods look bad. End links are bad. Another tie rod's bad. Another end link is bad. Let's see. Let's just check the car status. How many parts have we not discovered? A few. Okay. But we identified a heck of a lot more. I still say let's just do the engine work first. That's where we'll start. I'll get the throttles off the intake. just checking the air filter. Just thinking of other things to check that would be easy to check. All right, back into the engine. Let's take the intake off. I think we've serviced this engine before in the guide series, I think. There's a fuel filter, fuel rails. Oops, went right over that one. What's up, buddy? Let's pop off the ignition coils. And the Isaac is bombing these videos, eh? Hey, buddy. Alright, we got that off. Let's get the timing stuff off the front. Trying to figure out how to get the timing cover off of this sucker. So a lot of times you have to figure out which parts have to be removed first before we can get to that. But, we know we're taking these off, so let's pull these. And we're gonna have to get the bearing caps. Okay. I think there's, we can take this timing cover off. Do I have to pull the oil pan before I can take that off? We might. And we already had the oil pan off. Yeah, I think that's what the deal is going to be, is we got to pull the oil pan first. Well, let's get these cam bearings off. We know those have to come off, so might as well take those off. Alright, let's pop it in the air and let's just take that oil pan off. I think that will have to come off to get the front timing cover off, I believe, because that dipstick rod goes right in front of it. So pull the filter first. Sometimes you just got to figure out how these parts go together first before you can do anything else. Alright, so that's off. Let's drop the engine back down, or car back down, so we get to the top part of the engine. Now we can take the cover off. It was the oil pan that was in the way. Probably the dipstick from the oil pan that was in the way, actually. What bolt are we missing? There it is. Seen one on that side too? Alright. That is off, finally. Then we'll get the shoe off first. Then we should be able to pull the timing chain. Nope, there's another shoe somewhere. Now can we pull the timing chain? Yep. Right, let's get this same side off, I guess. Chains first. Well, clearly we have to take this cover off to get to this camshaft. I'm just not sure how that comes off. Do I have to take the intake off to get to that? Pop the intake, see what happens. I don't think that's connected, but... That's not the intake. Gotta be something we're missing here. It's on the back. Ah, these little covers. Right? Well, heck. Let's go about this a different way. Pull this. This is the water pump. We're gonna have to drain the coolant. I don't know if I want to pull that, but I think that has to come off this like back timing panel to get to it. So let's go to our drain tool. I'm just gonna drain the coolant and not spill coolant again. And then we'll pull the water pump. Missing a bolt here somewhere. Or two. Okay. So we're able to pull that. Now can we pull those timing covers? Yep. So that was what it was. There was a second back timing cover that had to come off first. Then we can pull that. All right. Now we're in business. Sometimes you just got to look at the car, look at the parts, see how things go together, kind of get a determination. There we go. Got it off. So if we go to our inventory now, we're going to sort by condition, putting the reds at the top. Camshaft. I think this is the V6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spark plugs. Oil filter we already addressed. Fuel rail. Let's just go ahead and replace the belt. It's 51%. We could probably not replace it. I don't think that's on our shopping list, but or on our part list, but I'm going to go ahead and replace that belt. Camshaft A. Spark plugs aren't here. Camshaft B. Idler roller A. We need 2. Fuel filter, we just need 1. Rocker arm A. Need 2. Ignition coils won't be here. Crankshaft pulley, we need 1. Fuel rail, a couple of those. Belt tensioner, just 1. Idler roller B, we need 1. And a serpentine belt. Then we can pop over to the electronics store, buy 6 plugs and 6 ignition coils. Take those off your list, and we'll go to part mount and put those new parts on. New plugs, new rocker, camshaft caps. And I'm pretty sure we actually did not need to take the intake off, but that's fine. Slap that back on. New fuel rail and a new fuel rail. The intake manifold back on. Okay. Slap on the throttles. Some engine covers. The new ignition coils. Power steering pump back on. Clearly that did not need to come off. New camshaft B. Some plugs. Camshaft cap A. Rocker, which looks like a little camshaft. Camshaft caps. Engine head cap. And then we'll put back on new ignition coils. Timing cover D. Put the cam gear on. There's cam gears. Put the water pump back in, which means we'll be able to fill coolant back up. Timing chain on this side. Cam gear, timing chain. Second timing chain. Put on the shoes. Timing cover. Yep. Down in here, where it's a little easier to see. Put the alternator back on. Crankshaft pulley. Timing cover. Idler roller. on the new belt and belt tensioner. Timing cover on this side. Can I put the oil pan on this way? I doubt it. Yep, gotta be under the car. Alright, so the top end of the engine is done, except for the new fuel filter. Let's check our car status. Clutch plate, clutch release bearing, that's on the back, behind the transmission. The air filter is bad. Okay. Tie rod's bad. Okay. Do the air filter while we're thinking about it. Pop off these clips. Get in the air filter box here. Nice new $11 air filter cap, and then put the clips back in place. Okay, that's addressed. And part unmount, let's put some coolant back in the car. Then we can start working on the suspension stuff. Pop her up. Part mount. Let's put the oil pan back on. And the oil filter back in place. Okay, then let's pop over here and pop these wheels off. While we do this, we can do a brake inspection. So you get in close, rotor looks fine, pad looks fine. Doesn't mean the caliper cylinder is okay. We can't really see in there, but caliper itself looks fine. Now, interestingly, we're probably going to have to pull that because that arm right there is bad. So we're pulling the brakes anyway. Pull the cap, bearing, wheel hub cover, lower suspension arm. That outer tie rod is bad. End link is bad. Pop off the shock. And we'll pop that off. And let's do the same on this side. Take off the brake pad. Rotor. Oh, the cap. Get the cap off. Maybe. Get the bearing out. Wheel hub cover. Take off the end link. Then we can get the sway bar out. Did I just take off an exhaust piece? Yeah. Jeez. Sometimes you're not paying attention to what you click. Take the lower suspension arm. Tie rod. Outer tie rod. And then that cap. Ah, that looks like a bad rubber bushing. I'll pull that one. Yep, 2% rubber bushing. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to pull all the rubber bushings off of this cross member. If I can click on it again, gosh darn it. Because they all look bad. How much gunks on those rubber bushings? Yeah, they're all bad. Check our car status. Do we have most of the... Hey, we have every part identified that we need to address, so that's good. So let's go ahead and separate out these shock absorbers. Just in case we don't have to replace all the shock. We probably do. But, you know, maybe we'll get lucky. And then the nice things to do, we'll just turn his brake rotors for him. Is there any parts we can repair? Hey, those fuel rails were repairable. Let's just repair them. Those we would replace. I could have repaired one. The steering knuckle on the one side can be repaired. And on the other side can be repaired. The rest of these are in fair to good condition, so no reason to mess with those. Just rotate or turn that last rotor. So let's sort condition bad at the top, right? Air filter we already addressed. Camshaft we addressed. Spark plug we addressed. Rubber bushing, tie rod we didn't. Rubber bushings, I just tend to replace every rubber bushing I pull, especially when there's a majority of them that are bad, just because I get screwed on rubber bushings, putting them in the wrong spot. And I'm just always err on the side of just replace the rubber bushings if you have parts that need to be replaced. All right, let's go to the shop. Let's buy what we need. Air filter we already bought. Idler we already bought. Okay. Rubber bushing, we need 6. Nice, 6. 2 outer tie rods. Sway bar in link. Front shock absorber 2. 2 front springs. The caps were apparently fine. And a front sway bar. Alright, so that's purchased. Let's join our shock absorbers. Join shock absorber. Okay, that's done. Let's go up here to part mount, and I'm going to start at the cross member and just put in nice new rubber bushings. Circle around, rubber bushing, and a rubber bushing. Get on that new sway bar, and then we'll click over here to the drinker side. Steering knuckle, outer tie rod, lower suspension arm with nice rubber bushings. Front axle knuckle cover, wheel hub. Put the bearing on and a cap. Nice new rotor and the old brake pad and caliper. We can put on the new shock absorber. End link. And pop the wheel on. That side is good. Let's do this side. End link. Wheel, knucklehead cover. Knucklehead cover. Wheel hub. The bearing. Cap. Ventilated disc brake. Brake pad. And a brake caliper. And then we put on the new shock absorber. All right, so all we have to do left is the clutch plate and clutch release bearing, which that sits behind the trans. So to get to that, you just pull the drive shaft. And let's get the starter out. And then we can pull the trans. Now the clutch plate, depending on its condition, anyway, I was looking at a text there during this video. That's terrible. Clutch plate, that can be a repairable part. The clutch pressure plate is a repairable part. I don't think the flywheel is. Yeah, so we don't have anything we can repair. So as far as those two parts, it's the clutch plate and clutch release bearing we got to replace. Now I added it to the shopping list, which I really didn't need to do, because if you come into the shop, hit here, clutch release bearing, clutch plate. It's right at the top of the list. Part mount, clutch plate, clutch pressure plate. Then the bearing goes over the top of that. And then we put on the trans. Alright, let's swing around here and get the starter back on. Okay, then grab the drive shaft and put on the drive shaft. Then I think all we have to do is align this bad boy's wheels, which you should do after you do all that suspension work anyway. Alright, all those are on. Car status. So the repair is done. We have to put oil in and a wheel alignment. So let's go ahead and move the car to the test path. So let's pop the hood and we'll put the oil in right here. There we go. Check on the old dipstick. Right in the middle there. That's good. Put that on, and then let's line these wheels up. Wheels are aligned. Check our repair. Green, green, green. Over here to finish. $5,800 repair. And I think we just leveled. So let's check our mechanics skills. Pop into the... so first skill points, I'm going to take Eagle Eye. Enter to unlock. July 2. 3. We don't have enough to get that. We have no available skill points. So that'll help our examine time quite a bit. So we're up to 59,451 bucks. We're on to the next story car, which is a 2000 Hanada Kagura SX. It's a Subaru. So we'll see what's up with that in the next guide video. So Lucas, Isaac, Parker, I hope you enjoyed this one. I might go ahead and just, well, it's almost supper time, so I'm going to have to prepare dinner, but I hope you enjoyed this guide video for the next story car. Will be on this Subaru in the next one. You guys have a good night.